Good day, viewers at home. This is a question on a quadratic equation by the method of completing the square. We've had a lesson on completing the square method before, but this was a special request from one of our students. Now, if you want to solve a quadratic equation using the completing the square method, the first step you take is, this is the constant term. You take it to the right hand side. So it's going to be 3x squared minus 11x. So if this one comes here, it becomes minus 10. That is the first thing to do. Now the next step is you divide both sides by the coefficient of that squared letter. That is if it is more than 1. What we have here is 3. So we have 3x squared over 3 minus 11 over 3x equals minus 10 over 3. So this will now become x squared minus 11x over 3 equals minus 10 over 3. So after doing this, you now make the left hand side a perfect square. And like I said earlier, we've looked at how to make an expression a perfect square. You take the coefficient of this unsquared x, not the squared one. The unsquared one, the coefficient of this x is minus 11 over 3. So minus 11 over 3, you multiply it by 1 over 2. You multiply it by half. So that will give us minus 11 over 6, because 3 times 2 is 6. 2 cannot divide 11. So we just multiply them. 11 times 1, 11. 3 times 2, 6. So when you get this result, you will now square it and add to both sides. So you now have x squared minus 11 over 3x plus, in bracket, the result we got there, minus 11 over 6 squared is equal to minus 10 over 3 plus, don't forget that we said this expression is equal to this. So whatever we add to the left hand side must be added to the right hand side. So we are going to add minus 11 over 6 squared to the right hand side also. So having done this, we have to now make this thing a perfect square. X, what do we have in the bracket? Minus 11 over 6 in bracket. Then you now put your square outside here. Is equal to minus 10 over 3 plus, if you square minus 11, it will give us 121. And if you square 6, you will get 36. So let's simplify these fractions. We have x minus 11 over 6 squared is equal to, what's the LCM of 3 and 36? That is 36. Now when you have two numbers, two denominators, where the smaller one can divide the bigger one, then that bigger number is your LCM. So 36 is the LCM. How many 3 can we get in 36? That is 12. Then 12 multiplied by 10. This one will give us 120. Don't forget the negative sign there. That will be minus 120. Plus 36 in 36 is 1. 1 multiplied by 121 is 121. So we have x minus 11 over 6 squared equals minus 120 plus 121. That will give us 1 over 36. So now we are going to take square root on both sides. If you take square root on both sides, the square root will cancel this way. You will be left with x minus 11 over 6 is equal to plus or minus square root of 1 over 36. So that means x minus 11 over 6 is equal to plus or minus square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 36 is 6. Let's continue from here. So we have x. We take this to the right hand side. It becomes 11 over 6 plus or minus 1 over 6. So that means our x will be 11 plus 1 over 6 or 11 minus 1 over 6. So 11 plus 1 is 12 or 11 minus 1 is 10. So 12 divided by 6 is 2 and 10 divided by 6, this is an improper fraction because 6 cannot divide 10. So we have 5 over 3. 5 over 3. So this is the solution to the quadratic equation using completing the square method. You can watch over and over again for better understanding. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.